this is the final video in this series, for want of a better phrase. And we're going to be covering these topics here. If I get the monitor right, I was actually doing it over there in OBS. Oops. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write a serializer that's going to write things out to the web now. What will follow will be a couple of videos of me setting it up. Stop. I know I'm interrupting myself, but it's kind of important. I don't actually explain what I'm doing in this video. I mean, I talk about things, but I don't really explain what's really happening under the hood. So I went back and reshot this. Hopefully this will sort of explain what I'm trying to do. All right. The idea is this. On the left-hand side of the video, so up that way. Now it's backwards from me. Up that way, you'll see over here we have Unity, which is the game. Now we're going to use this www object to connect to PHP pages that will then in turn use this MySQL functions to connect to the MySQL database. So we have various bits of code here floating around. The first is the C# code that we're using already for Unity. The second is the PHP pages, which I kind of cover in this video, although I don't really go into too much detail, but that's the PHP pages. And then over here we have the MySQL script that will create the database, which I cover again very slightly in this video. But this is the sort of overview of what we're going to be doing. So we have our game over here. We use a www object, which is capital www, to connect to the web page, which is running PHP. And we use MySQL to connect to the database. So all of this sort of runs together in one nice big kind of happy family. So that's kind of the sort of overall view of it. Let me just bring this up here. What else do we need to do? So what I did was, this is again sort of, I don't really cover it in the video, so that's why I brought this back in here. But essentially I created all these pages here. These are all PHP pages that use the MySQL backend. Excuse me. So this index.php page was written by the company that makes the web server software. But the rest of this code I just handmade. I used to be a long time ago a full stack developer, which meant I did like front end, back end, and everything in between. I don't do that now. I'm mostly well, I don't do any of that stuff now. But I still remember a bit of PHP, so I'm a bit rusty. So it's not the best PHP in the world, but it gets the job done for what we're attempting to do today. So it all works. I do want to draw your attention to, there's a couple of pages here that are interesting. The first one is test.php. Test.php allows us to insert rows into the database and also see what rows are visible on the database without having to go to the database package itself. StickyNotes.php is the class that I created that does all the functionality we need to do. So it opens the connection to the database, it closes the connection to the database, it gets the list of sticky notes, it deletes a sticky note from the database, it inserts or updates there. So you might have heard of CRUDL, which is create, update, delete, and list. That's really what this does. It's just one object that makes it a lot easier, and we keep everything inside there. There's a couple of helper functions in there that do some JSON-y stuff. And then we have our fetch notes. So this is our fetch notes here, and you see that we create an instance of our sticky notes object, and then we go through and you know, get the sticky notes and then make a JSON Unity object out of it. Yeah, so that's really what this is. These PHP pages are. These are all included in the package, inside the repository. So if you look inside the repository, there's a folder called www. That's where all these PHP files exist. And I mentioned that as well when we talk about getting the server up and running. So just to give you a little bit of background as to what was actually going on and the sort of my thought process behind all of this. And yeah. So I will now go back to our regularly scheduled program where I think I'm installing SQL Server. Oh no, I'm not. I'm installing the Laragon software. Installing and basically extracting a zip file. So yeah, here you go. We're going to use this, where is it? Laragon. So if I go to Laragon, I think if I just click it, it'll bring this up. So this is Laragon, and I'll show you how to set this up, how to download it, all that kind of stuff. If you are running a Mac, you can use something called MAMP, M-A-M-P. All of this will be inside the README notes, which will be on the repo page. So this is the repository page here. So the link for that is down in the notes below as well. So yeah, like I said, all this information will be inside the README there. But what is this? Well, this is what's called a WAMP install. So if you're using Linux, you'll need to get a LAMP install. And what that stands for is the first letter is the operating system. So W for Windows, L for Linux, and M for Mac. So it's either WAMP, LAMP, or MAMP. Then you have Apache. In this case, we're using Nginx, but it's fine. It's some kind of web server. Then you have MySQL database, and then you have PHP. And PHP is like a scripting languagey type thing, a preprocessor for HTML. I think that's what it stands for. But it basically it allows you to run a web service. So if I go to localhost, localhost, you'll see that it takes me to this Laragon website. And if I go to localhost test.php, you'll see that it takes me to this here. So this is just a sort of a sample web page, and all of these web pages will be are coming up next. I'm actually recording this as an introduction to the video that you're about to watch. So yeah, there you go. There's a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. So yeah, so that's the sort of general idea is that we're going to be setting this database up, and then we'll be able to write to those, write to the database, read from the database, all that kind of stuff using our Unity project, which is here. And of course, all of that happens after the fade. So, because I'm going to assume that we're going to be running this on a local network, because you don't want your sticky notes to get outside. This is just an internal thing. We can just run a cheap and cheerful web server such as Laragon. And what Laragon gives us is it gives us PHP, MySQL, and that's really all we need, and also a web server to run it on. So if we go to download, the project's open source. You can download the source from GitHub, as it says here, and there's a few options that you can have. You can choose the Go language, Java, Spring, whatever the heck that is, Django, Node.js, and have a mean development. So that's what's MongoDB, Angular, and Node.js, I think it is. I can't remember what mean stands for now. or we can go for the PHP that we want here. Now, there's various versions of PHP. I'm not really interested in anything spectacular because it's a very, very simple database. So the one I'm going to choose to download is this Laragon here, which downloads a 7-zip file. So you'll also need 7-zip. You'll also need to download this here, which is 7-zip. It's a very simple program, but it'll allow you to extract this file here. And once you've extracted it, where are we? Once you've extracted it, I extracted it to a folder called Laragon, and inside Laragon, you'll see that there is a www folder. So I've already tested some stuff out. So there's laragon.exe, and when you run this, you're presented. Oh, Laragon's already running. Why is Laragon already running? Here it is here. Okay. You're presented with this UI here, which is very simple. And all you need to do is click on Start All, and you'll see that MySQL has started on 3306, and Nginx has started on port 80, which port 80 is the HTTP server. So if you go to a new tab here and type in localhost, and then hit return, you'll see Laragon, and there's a getting started guide. There is also an information here, so you can click on info, or you can even pass in query strings it's yourself, and pass in q equals info, and then it will change to this page here, and you can see that we now have a fully functioning web server that we can start and stop, and we don't need to worry too much about it. So this is great for development. When you want to run this on like a proper, like have this running when Windows starts type situation, then you probably want to install this one here. So if you have like a local server and you want to be able to access everything across the network, then this is the one to do. So what we're going to be doing is using Laragon to set up our SQL database and all that kind of good stuff, and that's the next part. So this is just the part to get the servers up and running. So we have MySQL running here, and what we want to do is we want to take this, which is our sticky database here, and we want to write this out. We want to create a database that matches that functionality here, this bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on database, which is the database button down here, which takes us to this, it's called adminer. So I've not used this, I've used like PHP SQL before, PHP MySQL, PHP MyAdmin, I can't remember which one it is, but this looks kind of similar, and according to the docs here, the user is root and the password is blank. So I'm going to do root, and I'm going to click on login, and that should let me in there, and you see that we have a test database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new database, and I'm going to call this StickyNote. Yeah, it's fine. Just leave it at that. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and create a table, and I will put a link in the notes below to the, in fact, it will be in the repository. So it's in the repository notes. If you click on the link below, that will have the database schema in there, and also the sort of script to do that. So the only thing that you will have to do is you will click on import. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this, and then I will create the SQL database, and I'll show you how you can import that database. Okay, so now I have StickyNote in here, and let's Sublime Edit, and you'll see that now we have our database here. So this is the database that we're going to do. So it says if the table exists, we're going to drop it, and then we're going to create a database called StickyNotes. We're going to use that database, and then we're going to say if that table exists, we're going to drop it, and then we're going to create a table of that type. So when we get back to admin, so let's say we come back out of here, so we go back into our Laragon UI. So we click on import, and then what we do is we choose that file. So that file will be in the notes below, or the link to it will be in the notes below. If you go to the GitHub repo, it will be inside the server folder. I'll put it inside the server folder, and then click on choose there, and then choose sticky notes, and then click on OK, and then click on execute. And it will whir away, and then it'll say 8 queries executed OK, and then click on server up here in the little telltale, and you'll see that we now have our sticky notes, and then we have a sticky note table. Okay, and that's all the data that we need to do. And now PHP. I'm going to just do code. Well, it worked. Not exactly quite. I don't know why it said that, but never mind. Let's exit out here quickly. Let's close it. All right, so now we can see our index.php, and we have these values here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a very, very quick SQL connection-y type thing. If I can get my notes up here. Okay, so I want to create a new file, and this is going to be called fetch notes.php, and fetch notes later. PHP, and I'm going to say connection equals MySQL connect, and then the server is going to be localhost because it's running on this machine. The user is root, password is blank, and then the database, what's the database called? The database is called Sticky Notes. Okay. So I'm going to say if my SQL server connect underscore error no is not equal to 0. Echo let's just leave that as that. So if it's not equal to 0, then we just want to early out. So now what we want to do is we want to connect to the database, and we want to run some kind of query. So what we're going to do is we're going to say not result, but query equals MySQL query, and then the connection colon, and then the query, which is going to be select star from sticky note, and then it's going to be array equals array while, and this is the bit I can never remember, which is why I've got things written down, equals MySQL fetch associative array. So fetch associative, it returns a key value pair for each single row for each column in that row. So if we have, so we go to StickyNote here, we have these columns. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So we have these columns: ID, scene, bug text, XYZ, and timestamp. So the associative part of it says it associates this key with a value. That's what the associative, and it's an array of these key value pairs. So that's what this does here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push it onto the array. And the way we do that in PHP is very, very nice. We say equals row. And that's all it says, is just append that onto the end of the array. And then we're going to take that value, result equals, and then we're going to do JSON encode, and then whatever the array is. So remember, it's an array of associated values. So we're going to end up with some kind of JSON object. And then we're going to close the connection, and then we're going to do echo result. And I think that's everything we need to do. So we're going to connect to the SQL database. If it can't connect, then we're going to echo error. We're going to query the database. We're going to say select all the rows from StickyNote. We don't have any conditions. We're just going to bring everything back as this test. And then we're going to create an array. And then while we still have rows in this result set, actually that's going to be query, isn't it? So while we have it in the query, we're going to append it to the end of the array. And then once we append it to the end of the array, we're going to then encode it and then close the SQL connection and then return that back. Okay. So if we go to here and then do localhost and what did I call this? Fetch notes. Notes.php. Whoa. What? Oh, MySQL. That should be MySQL I. That's my bad. So maybe that was just the problem there. There you go. So we have an empty array, which is right because we don't have anything to give. Now the problem is that Unity doesn't like that. It doesn't like partial, like this is a perfectly valid JSON string, but Unity itself doesn't like that. So we're going to have to tidy it up a bit. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to do echo that, echo result, echo, and then that. And then we're going to say echo. Now we could do this all in one line, but and then this is going to be notes and that. Okay, so now when we run this, we should get notes equals empty array. So this is a valid JSON lint. So if I go to JSON lint and I type in this and then click on validate, you'll see that it is valid JSON. So this is a perfectly valid JSON string. So all good. So let's just say that let's have a new item in here. So let's add new item in here. So this scene is going to be test, and then the bug text is this is a bug, fix me. And then our x coordinate is going to be 9, 8, 7. And then the timestamp is going to be 2018-05, 17 at 18:34 and 0 seconds. So we'll click on save. So one item has been inserted, and you see that we now have our sort of default value there. Now if we go back to fetch notes, we now have an object returned back from our database. So now if we go and grab this and then go back to our JSON lint And we click on that, and then we click on validate JSON. You see that it has indeed created valid JSON. So it's a valid JSON file, and it is an array of notes. So each one of these is going to be this. Now, what we want to do is we want to be able to grab the value from the query string and then pass that back, because we want to be able to choose different scenes in here. So if I go into here and I choose add a new item, and I call this test2, this is from another scene, and I change that to 1, 2, 3, and then 26, let's say it's an old file, 401 April Fool's Day at midnight, and click on save. And now we have 2 items inside there. So when we go to return this, you'll see that we now have 2 valid JSON. We have 2 objects inside a valid JSON, and you see that we have these values here. But what we would like to do is we'd like to do scene equals test, and when we run that, we only get the bugs back for that scene. So again, there's much error checking that needs to be done in this. This is just a sort of test, just to make sure we have these values. So I'm going to say scene name equals, and then I think it is get, yeah, there we go, get scene, and I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to say where scene equals, and I think I can embed it just straight in there like that. I think PHP allows me to embed it straight in there. So now, and I've just saved that, so now when I run this and I hit test, it only brings back that first test, and if I bring back test2, then it brings back that, and if I just do a search for ABC, I'm not going to get any notes for that there. So that is our sort of first PHP. I'm going to create the rest of this script, or the rest of these scripts, inside the www folder, and they will be available in the notes below. But it's not really a PHP unless you're really interested in it, and maybe I can do another video if you want to leave a comment below. I'm not going to go through really what these do. I'm just going to go through how we call them inside our Unity. So I'm going to get on cracking on with this, and I'll cut the video just now, and then when we come back, we'll be dealing with the Unity part of all of this. So with the database all set up, we might have to change a couple of things on the PHP side as well, because I've just thought maybe we don't have, so inside serialization we have a JSON note collection, which is sticky notes, and we have the sticky note, which is fine. But this is slightly wrong. So we're going to have to figure this out. Actually, we'll probably have to change some things inside the PHP. In fact, let me do that just now, and I will come back to you. Okay. Okay, so what do we got here? So we have our sticky note and we have our position here. So we have position, all right. So if I go to, where are we? And www, and then I want to start off code. Actually, this should bring it up. Okay, and then inside our sticky notes, we have our position. So this column is that. So we have X, Y, and Z there, but that's not quite what we have. So can we get away with doing it that way? Exists array column. Okay, so that's fine. So we can say position equals this column R position equals that, and we will be getting a position, so that shouldn't be too bad. And then we want to say go get the position out of here and then put that in there. I think that's all that we need to do, and we can test that by going to here, and where is our example position here? So I'm going to say position equals that. Y, Z, that there. Okay, so position equals that. So I'm going to grab that, paste that in there, spell position right, and change that to pause test. Okay, no errors. So if we go back to here and do we'll get pause test, and then everything's fine. All right, okay, so that's good. We have everything sorted out. There was something else I was going to write there. I can't remember. It'll probably come back to me. That's when I was in here. Yeah, so that was the other thing I wanted to check. So inside here we have a collection. So this is called StickyNotes. So we need to call it the same thing on the other side as well. So that is going to be inside here. Insert or update rows. Okay, so that is going to be insert, and instead of notes, it's going to be sticky notes. Sticky notes. Okay. So sticky notes is going to be our name there. So that's going to be sticky notes there. So again, we'll test it, make sure it works. Name change, and name change, and then submit. Sticky notes. Okay. And name change. Okay, that's good. All right, good. We're good to go. Okay. So, okay, let's go back to the list here. So this is what we need to do for today. So we're going to move the data from the local host to the cloud. The cloud is just going to be our web server. So we're going to do the web server setup, which you've probably already watched by the time we get to this part of the video. Reading and writing to and from the web service. We're going to have to add an ID to the sticky note. Sticky note. Implement a delete, because we don't actually have a delete yet, and then an interface for serialization as well. So we want to be able to sort of do a generic version of this. So there's a couple of things we need to change first of all. So if we go back to here, we'll see that we have this here. So I'm going to do public int ID get set. So I want to have public ID. I don't think we use this here, but I'm going to do public that would be int id get set, because this is going to be our identifier inside the database for the purposes of writing this out to a text file locally. ID doesn't really matter. We're not really interested in ID. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Filter for scene name. That's the important one. Hold that thought. Yeah, this is super important because we don't want to bring too much data either down from the database or from our files as well. So that bit's a bit important. Okay, sorry, a bit of breath, I had to run up the stairs there. And then we have our JSON sticky note serialization here, so we need to do public int ID, and that's all we need to do there. Let's find out where this gets called. Yeah, so inside here, this is our sticky note local to disk serializer. We don't actually need to do that there, but we probably, it would be nice if this was genericized. So I'm going to say id equals n.id. So we may have to make this a little bit better. So we can also take this bit out and use this as well, and that makes it a little bit better to read. And then when we create a sticky note, where is our sticky note? This is inside our sticky note controller. So when we create a sticky note, what we need to do is we need to set ID equals -1. Now the -1 is important because in the database, the -1 indicates that we don't have a valid ID, because every row needs to have a valid ID. I mean, technically no, but we want to be able to delete these values, so we need some way to identify each bug. So we're going to call the ID row -1. We're going to give the ID for a new row -1, so when we look at the code for the PHP, you'll see that when we see -1, we actually do an insert instead of an update. So we can actually update the bugs as well. Okay. Right, what else is there? ID position there. I think that's okay. The other thing we need to do is for our serializer. Oh, we have an IEnumerable. Oh, good. Okay, that's good. Should we make that an enumerator though? Okay, doesn't matter. We also need public void delete sticky note. And this one we're not going to do anything with because we can't really delete anything for this in here, but we do need the ability to remove sticky notes from our serializer. And we have a sticky note serializer here, so we already have that interface. So I'm going to have a void delete sticky. Actually, it's vi sticky note sticky. That's where our interface comes in handy. So that's going to be sticky note. Okay, so that matches up our interface there, and that's everything. So that's the changes we need to make to our sticky note serializer. So now what we want to do is, if we haven't already done this, let's have a look at the awake function inside here. Okay, so this is the functionality that we've already added this line inside the awake. Now what this is going to do is it's going to get this object by the interface. So it's StickyNote serializer. So all we have to do is we have to create another class that does our database serialization, and that's all we need to do. And then after that, the video is done. Not quite so easy, but what we should do though is we should actually, instead of having this as extend from mono behavior, there's certain things that I want to have that are part of that are generic, and I think I want to have an abstract class, or do I just want to have see, this I think needs to come out and go someplace else. So maybe what we do is we have an adapter and we take in the sticky note and we return back this JSON sticky note. So maybe we need to do that. So I'm going to create a add class, and then let's call this sticky note adapter. I don't know if that's a good name for it, but we'll call it that anyway. And it doesn't have any state, this, because really all we want to do is we want to do this. So we need to take in a list of sticky notes, and we want to return back that list. We want to return back that transformed list. So I want to say public static ilist JSON sticky note, and then adapt, and then I want to pass in these values, and I'll fix up the generics here, and then I'm just going to grab all of this wholesale, and I'm going to return the list. And of course this is going to need using system.link, and that's us there. Okay, so now we have our adapter. So instead of having all of this, we can then reduce all of this code inside here to just say sticky note adapter dot adapt notes. So now this is we're not using inheritance. I'm trying to avoid inheritance with this because we already inherit from mono behavior. So this adapter class is good because we can take the sticky notes that we use internally inside our application, and then we can adapt it to our JSON note here. And all of this is generic as well. So maybe we need to do another class. Let's call that what are we going to call that? Another class. Sticky note JSON. Let's call it sticky note JSON. And again, you don't have to do this. This is just me trying to be pedantic. And again, I don't want to hold any state in here, but I really want to take this list here and then create this JSON file from it. So I'm going to do public static string to JSON, and we want to take in what is this, an ilist of JSON sticky note. list JSON StickyNote, StickyNote, and we want to say do that to the array, and then we want to do return that, and we want to add that there, without using, and oh, that's probably a link as well. So again, just these little tiny utility classes that can really help. I mean, you could use extensions as well. That's another way to do it, but I'm going to use these little utility classes. So instead of all of this now, I'm now going to say StickyNote JSON dot to JSON list. So now I have that. Okay. So now what I can do is I can now use these two lines to generate the exact same code inside my database class, and then use that code to write out to those values. And we can do the same thing here as well. So this is the load part of it. So we need to get the data from JSON and then into the sticky note. So we're going to do that all in one. So I'm going to grab all of this, and then we have our actually no, I'm not going to do it all in one. Do I want to do it all in one? These are the decisions you have to make. I mean, I could probably put it all in one there because I already have this sticky note adapter, so maybe I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay, so this is our JSON collection. So we want to take that collection and then adapt it into to the other one. So we want to say to do it the opposite direction. So we want to do public static ilist ilist iStickyNote, and then we'll just call it adapt again. But this time we're going to take in a JSON note collection, and we're going to say list iStickyNote notes equals new that return notes, and that gives us our return value. And then inside here we're going to grab that for loop and paste it in here. So we're doing basically refactoring here. So we want to say id equals note.id. That's going to be collection dot id, and we need to do a using up here convert, and that's going to convert that to date time, and then that's going to be dot to local time. Yeah, I think that's okay. So let's just leave that just now, and then that's going to add to there sticky. Oh right, yeah, duh. All right, so that's going to adapt the JSON note collection into a sticky note list. So we can get rid of all of this and then just have sticky note adapter dot adapt JSON note collection. And we can choose that iList. Actually, we can just change that to bar, and that makes it even simpler. And we're done. Okay. Now, our JSON note collection here takes in these sticky notes, but I also want to have public string error. Now, the reason I want to have public string error is because in our PHP, if there's an error, we actually set this value here. So I want to be able to serialize to it. So the nice thing about JSON is that if a property doesn't exist, it doesn't throw an error when it tries to set it. It just doesn't find it. And likewise, if one is found, then it will place the value in there, and if it doesn't find it. So that's really the only thing I want to add to that, is just this error string here, and then we're good to go for that. And I think that's everything as far as doing this for the disk serializer. Now what we need to do is we need to write a web serializer that pretty much follows this kind of pattern, but it goes to the web server. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say there. Okay, so I'm going to create another class here called, let's keep it StickyNote, and we'll call this web service, web serializer. We'll keep it consistent, serializer. And it's going to be a mono behavior, but it's also going to be an StickyNote serializer. So I am going to implement that interface, and you'll see that once we do the implement interface, we have, sorry, I did that really fast there. You can either go up to the light bulb there, click on implement interface, or you can press Control period or Control full stop, and then implement interface, and then it will do everything for you. So that's everything done now, or at least the stubs are in there. Okay. So we need a couple of variables here. So the public string base URL equals, and we're going to set that to be HTTP localhost. So this is going to be whatever your web service is. If you're doing this on your local network, you might want to have this as your web server 12 or whatever it is, but we're going to do localhost just now because everything is running on my localhost. Localhost is just the PC that you happen to be running on, for those of you who don't know. And then we have our load and we have our save. Okay, so load is going to throw because it doesn't have anything there. And what do we need here? Okay, so we need to do delete, we need to do load. So let's load first of all. Oh, actually, do you know what? I totally forgot to do that. Okay, let's implement it here, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I mean. So I forgot this bit here, which is the filter for scene name. So we need to filter for scene name. So the way we can do that is if I have awake, I can do scene manager dot get active scene dot name, scene name equals that. So the scene name is going to be whatever the active scene name is. Now for the load, I want to say var URL equals base URL plus, and then whatever the URL is. So the URL is going to be fetch notes, which is this script here, fetch notes.php, fetch notes.php, and then it takes in this parameter here, scene. Oops. Scene equals, and then it's going to be the scene name. Now you're probably going to have to do a URL encode here, but we'll just leave it just now, and we'll come back to it. In fact, we'll put a marker there, URL encode scene name. So we'll put a pin in that just now. So that is our base URL. And what we're going to do is, if we go to a website here, and then we do fetch notes scene equals test, we'll return it, and you'll see that we end up. I'll just make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. Excuse me. You return back all the values for this particular scene. So this scene is called test. If you want everything, you can just do %, and it returns everything back for all the scenes. So you can see that everything is coming back as a JSON object. So this is what we're going to be doing here. So the way we do it is we can use the www object. So we can do www dot equals new www dot equals new and then the URL, which is URL. Is there options here? No, there's the post data, and then there's the form data, and yeah, that's all we need to do. Oh, you can pass in headers as well. That's pretty cool. And then you can do what's the command for this again? Is it yield return? I can't remember how to use this. I think you can do yield return that. So it's trying to do that. So if you do that as an enumerator, so it can't do that there. That's the only problem. But what it can do though is, okay, I'll have a wee think about this. Okay, had a bit of a think, and I don't think we can. Yeah, I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to create a enumerator start, and I'm going to put that in here, and then I'm going to say www equals new www URL yield return www. So that will wait until we get a value back. Then we can do www dot text. So that's going to be our JSON. And again, there's error checking that we can put in there, but let's not bother putting it in just now. And then for our local disk serializer, our load here is we check to see if this is null, and if it is, then we want to return an empty string, and then we've got this here. So I'm going to grab all of that, and instead of returning these values, what I'm going to do is this takes an ilist sticky note. So I'm going to say ilist sticky notes. I'm going to say sticky notes equals new sticky note, otherwise sticky notes equals that. Okay, and I also want to have public bool is ready, get and set, and then I want to say is ready equals true. And I'll need to do the same thing for our local disk serializer as well. So what this is going to do is we're going to go to the base URL, we're going to choose whatever scene we're on just now, We're going to go and fetch the data from the website, which is going to read the database. That's going to then come back. It's going to check to see if the string is null or empty, and if it is, then we set that to be an empty collection. Otherwise, we go and deserialize the collection and return that value back. So this collection here, we can say if string dot is null or empty is not null or empty, error, and then do the same thing here. That would be yield break, and then the same thing here as well. We need to do that as well down here. So we do yield break. Otherwise, we adapt that there. And then all we need to do here is to return sticky notes. Okay, and that does our load part there. Okay, get rid of system. So we load everything in on the start, and then we cache those values, and then we load them out there. Now, when we save it, we should say sticky notes equals notes, because we're saving that value back out, but that's an enumerable. I think we can do that because that's part of link, and that should be fine. So we're basically making this internal one the same as the values that we get back. So we're replacing it, and then we can, because we don't want to really cache the value in here, because this is just a serializer, but we're kind of going to have to if we want to bring this in from the database, the way that we've built it there. I'm sure there's a better way, and we should probably refactor it. But for now, just to get this to work, we'll think about it. So let's put in that as well. Refactor taking web into account. Okay. Right. So sticky notes local disk serializer. We now also have to have a public bool is ready. Get. Actually, it's going to be get return true, because it's always ready. And inside our StickyNote serializer, we need to have a bool is ready get. And then inside the, where are we? Controller, we have an awake there, and then instead of load existing notes inside awake, we're going to do that inside our start routine. So we're going to do enumerator start while serializer is ready. So while it's not ready, yield return null and load existing notes. Okay, so the reason why I'm moving that there is because I want to wait until the serializer is ready. Now for disk, it's ready. If you're running this on Xbox or PS4, where you have to request a resource, then this is going to work better for you. But for working on a PC locally, if you're doing Steam, that kind of thing, then this is good, because it's doing the right thing, but it's also generic enough that it's going to work locally as well. So hopefully after all of that, this has made no difference whatsoever to the database. So StickyNote controller start is already defined. Where's the start? Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to take that out there, inside start, and then I'm going to move that to here. So I already had a start method there, so I just moved that out there. So this should make no difference. Come on, compile. There we go. Yeah, there you go. So we still have these values here. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to rename this. I'm going to do file save scene as, and I'm going to save this to scene, and I'm going to call this test. And the reason I'm going to call it test is because I know I have a whole bunch of things in the database called test. They're all not at the right position, but you know, we'll get there. All right. So that is our local value, our local database on this PC. What I want to do is I want to take that out, and then instead of having that, I want to have the web serializer. So I'm going to remove the local disk serializer, remove component, and so now we're going to talk to the database. Okay, let's see what happens now. Oh, nothing so far. Oh, null reference. Always good. Okay, sticky note adapter 27. All right. So collection is, so either this is null or this is null. So I'm guessing that we don't return back the right value for the PHP. So that is correct. So instead of notes, we need to call it sticky notes. So that should fix that. So make error, scene name not specified. Trying to open the database. Couldn't open the database. Get sticky notes. Write out sticky notes. All right. Okay, so now running it. Come on. Oh, there we go. So it just popped in there. There's no text. I don't know why there's no text. Probably because they're all at 0, 0, 0. Let me change some things inside the database real quick. So if we go back down to here, there we go, database. Whoa. Root. And we go to sticky notes, sticky note, and select data. So test, test, test. So let's move this to 0, 0, 0. Save. And then what's the other one at test? So this is test here. So we'll do edit test, and we'll move this to 10. And we'll do save. So now if we go to scene equals test, we get 2 of these bugs here. Okay. And we run. There we go. There's one. Don't know where the other one is though. Is the one over here? No, we do have 2. Are we not setting the position right? Oh, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I know why the position's not getting set. Okay, if we go back to here and we go to sticky notes, we don't write out the position inside there, which was what we should do. So if I do get, this get, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 1 and that brings it as X, Y, and Z. That's not any good. And so unfortunately, yeah, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a bit of change here. So I can't have this. I can't allow that because I really need to have it as separate components, unfortunately. So that means that my existing stuff is going to break. That's not good. Okay, no, it's fine. No, we can still have that. I think we can still have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here, and then we have our JSON note collection. We have our JSON sticky note. We have a position here. We can do public float x, public float y, public float z. It's a little bit of cheating, but I think I can live with it. And then we have our sticky note serializer here. So when we save it out, sticky notes to array, where's our adapter? Yeah, so inside here, we can then say x equals n dot position dot x, y equals n dot position dot y, z equals n dot position dot z. Okay, so that's saving that out. It's duplicating it there, and again, refactor position fields. And so when we bring this back in, the position is going to be that, but let's do that as, instead of saying position equals that, we're going to do a new vector. It'll be note.x, note.y, note.z. So it's kind of going to break existing ones, but that should fix the issue here. So hopefully that's a little bit clear, is that my internally my head's thinking it's clear, but I don't know if it is. There you go. So there's our two values there. We're still not getting any text, but that's okay. We can output that and see what we're getting. Okay, so we're getting those two values. This is coming from the database. But the bug text is not there. So bug text, have I spelt that wrong? Oh, there you go. See? Bug text. It should be bug text. I did spell it wrong. Select star from StickyNote where scene equals that. And then actually maybe it's easier just to change it around here. Yeah, let's change it to bug text. Because I think in the database, where are we? Database is bug text lowercase. Okay, I think I can change that. Let's change that to, where are we? Auto table. So I'm going to change bug text to bug text. Save. And then that way we don't need to change anything because it's going to be the right values there. So timestamp is timestamp's capitalized as well. So let me alter the table again, change that to timestamp, save. And the reason why is because the JSON serializer, see how it says timestamp lowercase, that's not gonna be right for the deserializer. For again, if we're using Newtonsoft, we can ignore case sensitivity, or we can turn off case sensitivity. sensitivity, but we can't in just the normal one, so that's going to be bug text there, and that's bug text there, bug text, timestamp, and timestamp. Okay. And we can get rid of yeah, and we can have that as that. That's fine. Okay. And so now the bug text should come over now because it's going to be properly captioned. Okay, and here we have from the database, this is a bug, fix me some bug. This is a bug, fix me some bug. Alright. This is a bug, fix me some bug. Cool. And just to prove that we're not, mucking around here, let us go to select data, and let's change that from some bug to I don't know, StickyNote says this is a bug, fix me. Okay, so something fairly altered from there, and then we go back into here, and there you go. StickyNote says this is a bug, fix me. And so you can see these values are coming straight from the database. All right, so that is bringing the value back, but what if we want to change that value? Okay, that's going to be a little bit trickier. So let's see what the command is, the API is for that. So insert is the API, and it takes in this value here called notes, and then it updates the sticky notes parameter of notes. So what do we do here? We've got our web serializer. So we want to save that. Actually, we just want to save the notes that is being saved, don't we? But I think it's going to save everything. Okay, that's fine. I think just the way that it works just now for our, if I go to Sticky Note Controller and I do, where are we? Save button. It saves all the values of all the notes. That could get quite costly. So maybe we'd want to reduce it to being saving just the values that have changed. So save just the values that have changed. So we've done, what have we done so far? We've done this one here, and we've kind of done this one, well, we've definitely done that one there. We've definitely done that one there. We've definitely done that one there. We haven't done implement that. We've kind of done reading, writing to and from the web service. We haven't done the writing part of that yet. We'll work on that in just a sec. And then this is a kind of nice to have. So I'll put that down there. And then we'll maybe take a look at these ones here. But this is the sort of kind of what we're aiming for the last video in this series is this one here. And if you guys, if you want any more of these videos, comment below. If you don't want any more of these videos, comment below as well. So just let me know what you're thinking here. I aim to please. And hopefully this video is not too confusing. I mean, I know that I'm using like C# and PHP and all these kind of things and jumping around a bit, but hopefully you're following along. And if not, the code's going to be available on GitHub and you can download it and peruse to your heart's content. Okay. All right. So for our save, we get those values in there, and then StickyNote serializer, where are we? We want to save those values. So this is our values here. So we get our sticky notes. We want to take sticky notes because that's going to be our copy of it, if you like. And then we want to write that JSON object to PHP. Now the way we do that is we do start coroutine write to database, for lack of a better word, JSON. Then I'm going to have enumerator write to database JSON. All right, so we have our JSON here. So I'm going to say www form equals new www form dot add field, and then the field is going to be called notes, because sorry, I should explain that there's when you do an HTTP get, or sorry, when you do an HTTP call, there's different verbs that you can use. The most common one that you've probably used every day without knowing it is get. And that's when you go to like a website like unity.com, you go to that does a get. When you send form data, so you submit like a login form, that uses the post method. And there's other ones as well, as like put and delete and others. So to access that inside PHP, you use this $, which means this is a variable, and then underscore post. And then similarly, if you go to fetch notes, you'll see that I have the underscore get here. So that is when you, the get is when you're on the query string that you pass in. So post is for form data, get is for query strings. And I'm going to pass in JSON as that value there. And then the base URL, URL equals base URL plus, and it is insert.php. And then I want to do www equals new www, and then URL, and then the post data, which is the form data. And then I want to say yield return www. And then I want to get that JSON value back. So I'm going to grab this here and I'm going to paste it in here, and that's going to give me the collection. And now what I can do is I can say if JSON node collection dot error string dot is null or empty. If it's not empty, debug dot warn JSON note collection dot error. So if something went wrong, then we want to be able to warn people what happened. And that's our write to the database. That's all we need to do. So when we now the issue with that though, that happens on save, doesn't it? So the problem with the save, So this is a bit of an issue as well with, I'm going to leave this in just a sec to have a little think about it. In fact, I'm going to do that just now. I don't want to paint myself into a corner, but I think I have with this, and I think it's going to need a bit more refactoring. So the local disk serializer works just fine because we really want to basically bulk write to the file. However, for a database, we don't really want to bulk upload to a file. We just want to be able to write that particular value to the file. We want to be able to save it. Not only that, but we also want to know the ID when we get that value back. So, maybe that's the bug item notes. So that's the sticky note there. So maybe what we want to do is we want to pass that in as well to the save. Yeah, maybe. Let's do that. It's a bit hacky. I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah, so that's going to pass in StickyNote, which I think is okay. And then inside our save, let's see, current is that, and then we need to do the same thing for serializer. Where are we? Save current. So for this one, it's going to be ignored, and then for this one, we're going to be saving that value out. So where are we? StickyNote web serializer. Yeah, that's the one. So for the save, what we want to do is we want to write out. We want to save that value to the database. So we want to do adapt instead of sticky notes. We don't actually want to. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to say new sticky note that. So we want to create a list of 1, and then we want to write that out to the database, and then we want to be able to get that back. So I also want to pass in the sticky note. Because I want to be able to set the ID that we get back. So I want to say that else sticky note dot ID equals, and then it's going to be JSON note collection. JSON note collection dot, and we're just going to call it ID. Or let's call it new ID. Yeah, let's call it new ID. And then inside the insert, we have to change a couple of things inside insert as well. So insert is this going to be insert or update? And then we go to sticky notes. The insert or update does it for each row. So that's not going to be the case. So that's going to be r equals rows 0. Because we only ever have one row. And then I need to get the last ID, which I can't remember how to do it. MySQL I get last insert ID. Blah 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 blah. Insert ID connection. Awesome. There we go. So I'm going to do result. It's not result. Yeah, let's do result equals array ID equals that. Okay. And then inside JSON note collection, I'm going to do public int new ID. And that's it. So I'm going to set a breakpoint here because I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to set a breakpoint here, and what this is going to do is it's going to post that sticky note to where's our JSON? Yeah, our JSON gets created up here. So the save is going to save just one item to the database, and then it's going to return back the ID and set it inside there. So the next time we call it, it will then do an update instead of a save, instead of a new item. So that's what I hope is going to work. Okay, so I'm going to go and create a new JSON note collection, JSON. What happened there? JSON. Let's print JSON and see what comes out. I don't think there isn't. Oh dear. Okay, well, it didn't like that. Sticky notes, line 55. Oh, that's why. Missing a semicolon. What a fool! Okay, so now okay, there we go. There's our sticky notes. So if we look over here, and then we do add note, this is a brand new bug fix me. Save. So it saved, but I never set the breakpoint, so that was good. However, we can go into our database anyway, it doesn't really matter. And then we can go to test.php, and test.php, oh, it doesn't like bug text. Oh, it's all falling apart. Text, and then that's going to be timestamp. Okay. Right. That did not work. So let's go into save, click on attach, and come back out of that, and go over to here, add note. This is another test, brand new bug. Click on save, and our JSON collection should consist of one sticky note, which is that there, and that's why, because we're not actually writing out anything to. Oh no, we are. Why am I doing this? Oh, because I'm an idiot, that's why. Cannot resolve destination host. Insert.php. Ugh. Oh, what a fool. That should be a plus. So base URL plus insert.php, is that right? Insert.php. And then this is the this is the JSON that we're posting. So this is our adapted JSON. We write to the database, we wait for the database to come back, and then we read in this. This should actually just be, JSON data or something. I don't know, call it something else. And then we check to see if there's an error coming back, but there's no text because obviously I'm an idiot and I forgot to do that. Okay, right. All right. Wait for Unity to get its stuff together. Okay, and I'm going to click on add note. Brand new bug. Click on save. And we head down here. And text is oh dear. Well, that's gone wrong. But it did add it. It did add it. So we're getting the wrong value here. We're definitely getting the wrong value here. Okay. Yeah. Where are we? Inside here. Okay, so inside insert, we don't want to make error. We just want to return that. Actually, we want to do echo that. We just want to output it because that output is going to output the ID. Because if I go back into the database now and hit refresh, you'll see that we actually have another row in here, which is a brand new bug, which is okay at some weird position there. The timestamp is wrong. So the timestamp, it should be actually when we add a new bug, yeah, it's not picking that up. So I think the reason why it's not picking it up is because in the insert inside here, no, I've got its timestamp. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. We still need to debug this bit here. Alright, so this should now bring back this ID. So right now the ID should be -1. So we should now have a brand new bug on the right hand side when we play this. So we know that our bugs are saving. And no. Not recognize the valid date time. Well, it wouldn't be, would it? Okay, maybe we do need to fix that. Let me select data. Let me delete that. Okay. Let's figure out why. So I think it's coming through okay. Well, it can't be coming through okay because if it was coming through okay, then it would have saved. So we go to StickyNote there and we do timestamp. Is this being saved inside the adapter? That's the important part. So where we have it in here, so we have our adapter, timestamp equals that, and then we have timestamp equals n.timestamp to string, which that looks okay. And then when we save that, are we writing it out? So let's check and see. So let's go into here. Right, click on there, add a note, and click on save. And then our JSON string is, let's just put this into JSON lint so we can read it. And timestamp is that, which I think is okay. Maybe we want to have it in a different format. It does look a bit suspect though. Yeah, that ID's not coming back because it's doing the wrong thing, that's why. Okay, that should be www.text. So this is the return value. This is the value that we're getting back from the database. Whereas I'm trying to convert this JSON, which means I'm always going to end up with 0 because StickyNote happens to be 0 at this point, or the ID happens to be 0 at this point. So that should fix the index value. The reason why it's coming back as timestamp insert. So it is inserting that there, and then inside sticky notes, this column, timestamp, date, atom. I mean, it doesn't look like it's in the right date format, to be honest. Let's do a wee search here. So C# date format, new year, day, hour, minute, seconds. That one there, ISO format, blah 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 blah, toString. Okay, that's good enough. And then inside our adapter, so instead of that, we'll put in there. Oh, there's even better. That's even better. So let's just put in S. ToString S. There you go. Thank you, slash dot, Stack Overflow, slash dot. Okay. We'll get there eventually. I mean, we're only coming up for an hour and a half. Probably 2 hours by the time I edit the rest of this in. No, format exception. There you go. Oh yeah, because this stupid thing's wrong again. Right. Let me delete that. Okay. And find print. Where did I put print? Let's get rid of that. Okay. And let's create a new note. Brand new note. Save. And once again, I did not do that there, but let's see if it's saved anyway. We will stop this and then we'll start it again and hopefully it'll pop in. Boom, brand new note. Although the X, Y, and Z coordinate is a bit screwed up. Wonder why that is. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is 0. I mean, that's as close to 0 as I think you can find. I mean, let's edit it and we'll just change that to 0. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. And you'll see that it's coming as value 12, so it knows that it's value 12. So let's try and edit the notes now. So there's brand new note. Yeah. I don't know why that's coming in as that. That's weird. Okay, so let's do add new note. Wrong text. So this is the wrong text for that note. So let's make it the right text. So click on that, and this is better text. Save. And let's stop and play. So when it comes back, it should be better text. So we created the note. And there we go, better text. So it's saving. So we get save and load, and cool. And we can also go to the database and we can also pull data from there. And we're also filtering by scene name as well. So we have 2 texts there because I punched it twice. Okay. Yeah. There's one for you. There's 2 notes there at exactly the same time because I did a double tap. So I'll leave that for you to figure out how to fix that. I mean, you could put down like a cooldown period, or maybe have like a little save icon. Okay, so we've got that done. So the only thing that we have left to do is implement delete. And to implement delete, I don't have that there, but that should be fairly easy to do. Let's do that, and then I think we'll call it a day there. And I'll leave these ones here up to you to implement. So refactor serialization, taking the web into account. That's really kind of tidying things up. Same thing with the position fields as well. You might want to just bring them out and put them in as X, Y, and Z when you serialize them out to JSON. And actually, we've done that one. So that's a done one. We've done that. What? So the only thing really left to do is implement delete. and then we can call it a day. Right, let's home stretch this. Public function delete, and then this is going to be ID, and SQL is delete from sticky notes where ID equals ID, and MySQL query this con equal. That's delete, and where's our insert? Okay, so I'm going to grab this and then I'm going to do a new file. I'll call it delete.php. Get, and this is going to be ID, get ID, missing ID. I don't need to decode it, and then this is going to be delete ID. And then that's going to be just that. Okay, and that is that's our delete function. So this is our delete API. So when we pass in to delete, all we need to do is pass in our ID, which is brought in from the query string, and then we pass that through to there. So where is our what's our serializer? So we have delete sticky note. Okay, so inside our web serializer, we have a delete here. So var URL equals base URL plus delete.php question mark ID equals, and then it's going to be StickyNote.id. www equals new www URL. Actually, this is going to be start coroutine delete note sticky note, and enumerator delete note sticky note. So again, this is very similar to what we've done before. I create a base URL. I create a URL from the base URL, and then I wait for it to finish, and then return the value back. And that's it. Return www. So that means wait for that call to finish, and then come back from it. And that's all I really want to do for that. I don't really want to check if it failed. It failed. That's fine. The worst case scenario is that it comes back when you reload it. I think that's okay. I mean, you might want to have some logging around there to check to see what the text value is coming back, but again, I'll leave that to your discretion. And then, what else are we going to do? We need to make sure that the controller is doing the right thing as well. Oops. Why is that doing that? That's just weird. It's like my control key's not working. sticky note controller. Okay, and then delete. Where's the remove button? So remove blah 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 blah. So we also want to do serializer dot delete current. So you want to be able to delete the current note. Which is notes current note. Okay, so we want to do that. And then that will remove that, that will remove that from there. Okay. And I think we can then call it a day after that. It's a long video with plenty of edits for me to do later on. Okay. So this is our brand new note over here. So if I go over to this one and then do that, remove note, that will remove it there. And when we boot the game back up again, that note should be gone. Nope, still there. Well, let's check and see what's wrong. So if I go to here and let's say I want to delete number 5, I would do delete.php id equals 5. Okay, there you go. So delete PHP line 20. Delete PHP line 20. Okay, that's why. There we go. Okay. So now if I do that, there you go. Error nothing. Alright. Remove note. And relaunch it. It's still there. Yeah, you oughta. Alright, let's see why that's not working. Remove button delete, and I want to go to web serializer delete. Let's attach it to Unity. That's not good. Why does that say it never gets hit? That's not good. Okay, go over here, remove note. Alright, well, that seems to be doing it. URL is that, delete .php id equals 12. And the text is nothing. Okay, so that's fine. I think that happens when you debug. So if I go to here, well, testing, 12 is still there. Why is 12 still there? So if I Well, it's just not deleting it, that's why. Sticky notes. Delete from sticky notes where ID equals ID. Delete from sticky notes. Let's try in here. SQL command. Execute. Oh, it was a sticky note. Okay. Duh. You know, there's probably about at least one of you out there screaming at me, it's called sticky note. Why can't you see it? You're a moron. And you're right. Okay. 15th time is a charm. And I'm going to keep this in. Because there's no way I'm going to unedit or edit it out. Alright. Remove note. There's our coroutine, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And it's gone. Okay. And now stop the game, restart it, and come on. The note's gone. Okay. So the note is gone. It is dead. It is no longer a note. Alright, okay. That was kind of fun. I think we're going to call it a day there though. Because we're coming up for an hour and 44 minutes for this segment. Still got another 2 segments to edit into it, and probably a third as well by the time I finish. So yeah, I'm gonna call that done, and I can move on to the next challenges. So there's a couple of videos that people want me to do. I'm going to take a look at. So that's that. That's sticky notes. So there's 2 ways to save the sticky notes. You can save them to local disk, or you can save them to a database using PHP and MySQL to save those values out. So hopefully you followed the video. There was a bit of rambling in the middle there, obviously, because I have an idea in my head what I want to do, and then occasionally it doesn't quite work, and I've got to like retry. But we're there anyway. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I really do appreciate your viewership. If you liked the video, like it. If you didn't, then thumbs down, whatever. Let me know in the comments below, and also share. Share the video with your friends on social media. It's very much appreciated, and it'll hopefully help the channel grow. And also, if you haven't subscribed, then feel free to hit the subscribe button wherever the subscribe button is. I don't know where the subscribe button is these days. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the OK, hit the checkbox, and then click on submit. It's a whole big thing. But if you could do that, I really much appreciate that, because that also helps the channel as well. Yeah, so until next time, thank you all so much for watching, and keep coding, and keep coming up with the ideas for the channel, and things that I can look at, and leave comments and videos, and hopefully I'll get around to doing them sooner rather than later. But yeah, thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye guys. Bye.